Welcome to Moonscapes. It's Wednesday night, April 17th, 2013. And yes, I said 2013. I know the last video I did on the 14th of April, and I carried the 14 over to the year and advanced this year. Well, we are in 2013. We've got a special night here tonight, really, for Connecticut anyway. I'm again set up in my back lot behind my retirement center. I've reset my car up a little bit different. I've been sitting in the front seat and really been scrunched in, and I moved to the back seat and was able to put the front seats down and make myself a little more table-like situations, and I got a little better situation with my viewing screen for the camera, and also I was having some trouble with my computer for my Atlas, and I've taken care of those. There were a couple of setup problems in that I have adjusted, and it's made a big difference. So we're ready to go tonight, and the object I wanted to view tonight, actually, it's really only visible real well on one night, basically each lunar cycle. If you get it too early, it doesn't show up well, and if you get it to do a day late, it doesn't show up too well. So we've got it just about dead center tonight, and we're going to take a look at it. Also, seeing here in Connecticut is really, really a tough thing, and tonight we've got probably a little better seeing than usual. I'm using my Skywatcher Maksutov Cassegrain 5-inch telescope, but I'm using it with a 3 times barlow, which I have not yet done because I was a little bit afraid with the seeing that I would not get a good image. But as you can see, we have a fairly nice image here tonight. You can see there is some atmospherics, there's some moving around, but it's not all that bad. On the screen in front of us right now, over near 3 o'clock, you can see the Alpine Valley, that cut in that mountain range. That's showing up very nicely because the sun angle is very, very low. And if you go up, let's see, if we go to the center of the screen and then over just slightly left of center, there's that very large crater with a flat floor, and it's got another smaller crater down near 6 o'clock. That crater is Bond. Let me see now. I've got to be careful because this computer here will give me the smaller craters within that, and I got to be careful I don't pick that off. Yeah, and that's giving me 96 miles across. So that's a big crater. And let me see. I'm using my 21 millimeter eyepiece again with this 3x Barlow, and that is because, as you can see here, I've got a lot of zoom with this eyepiece. I haven't really counted how many. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I'm starting to see some coloring down in the right-hand corner, which means I'm getting near the very end of the zoom before I start getting vignetting. That gets a little bit stronger, so we'll back it up once. So we got about 10 levels of zoom, which is really pretty nice. I got to be careful here where I set my mouse down the seat. It's awful dark back here. I'm going to lose it. Let's move along a little bit. Get towards the object we want to look at first, and then we can have some fun looking at some other things as we go along the way. Here's an interesting crater that I've gone by several times and never really talked about. It's the crater Cassini. I find it a very interesting crater. I remember as an amateur astronomer, 12, 13, 14-year-old range, out there with a sketch pad and sketching this crater. I'll try to put it dead center and then zoom in on it. Okay, it's just about dead center now. See, it's got the fairly high walls around it, and then it's got a crater right inside of it. That is the crater Cassini. Let me see if I can get you the the miles on that real quick. That's 10. That's not going to be right. I don't want. Yeah, I want Cassini itself. Yeah, Cassini. That's only 35 miles. That crater. So you can see we're zoomed in pretty close. You'll have to excuse me tonight. I've kind of picked up some kind of a respiratory problem here, and I've got a sore throat and had kind of a rough day. I didn't even know if but I wanted to get out here so bad tonight that I just decided to say the heck with it and get out here and do the video anyway. Let's see. Okay, that's Cassini, as I said, and let's see, we're drifting off a little bit. My polar alignment must be off somewhat. I don't take a lot of time to polar align because we're just on the moon and it's not that difficult an object to find. I'm using an equatorial mount which needs to be polar aligned. I'm just slapping this thing down and roughly pointing it at the pole star area, and that's how I'm doing my alignment. These craters right here, that's Aristellus, the bigger one in the center, which is just partially in sunlight. You can see about half of it, and the other one right alongside of it's a smaller crater. Autolycus is next to it. That's the smaller crater. Those are real interesting, just coming in the sunlight and giving us a nice, beautiful view. And we're gonna move up along this terminator, and we're gonna work our way along to the object that I want to really show you tonight. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there now. Okay, let's bring this and center it. And okay, I'm going to put it over here because we seem to be drifting to the right a little bit as we go along in time. I'm going to back out first a little bit. See that Mare that goes through, it's kind of a narrow passageway like that goes through the center of the field. And then just left of dead center there's darkish markings. I'm not exactly sure what those are. They're not listed on this atlas as even any kind of mountain ranges. I'm not sure just what they are. But anyway, the object that we're interested in is, notice, let's recenter slightly, drop it down. Pardon me again, I'm sorry for this cough and sore throat I've got here. And I'm going to start zooming in now. Notice that very wide open V-shaped cut in the moon. That is Hyginus Rill. And I don't know if you watch some of my videos way back when, I mentioned a couple times looking for it. I was never able to find it live. When I reviewed the videos later at full size, I was able to see it, but I was not able to show it to you like we can see it here tonight. Notice that V-shaped cut in the moon. That is Hyginus Rill. They are an interesting feature. There are basically two types of them on the moon. One is a type where they believe that the surface is through geological processes have just kind of split and pulled apart. And those tend to be kind of wide. And then there are those which they think are lava tubes, which form river-shaped beds like this one is. It looks like a river-shaped bed. But there are also those that look like they were underneath, and then the roofs, when they became inactive, it looked like the roofs collapsed in on them. And that's exactly what looks like happened here. Notice, if you notice that rill, the edges of it aren't really sharply cut. They look like they've got some features to them. And if you get in there with a real high power, and I've seen some early maps from like some of those early mappers that we talked about, I've seen drawings, and that rill, actually it looks like little circular cuts or pits have actually caved in all along that line and left little circular patterns all along that rill. It's really a strange feature. Don't know why that would be, but there's certainly an interesting feature, and we've got a great view of it here tonight. As I say, you can see the terminator is just up at the top of the frame, so that has just come out into sunlight, and we've got a nice low sun angle, and this is about the best view that you'll get of this feature. If we were to come back and visit this spot tomorrow night with the sun getting higher, it would not look nearly as nice. In fact, it might even be a little bit difficult to find. That crater just below, well, let me see, I'm getting on my, the crater over near 8 o'clock, that's Manulus. That crater is 24 miles in diameter. And then if we go up, okay, now Hyginus, notice Hyginus is just off center. And I'm going to bring this object down. Hyginus is off center and a little bit below center, and then there's a crater which is off center going up towards 1 o'clock position in the field. That crater is Trasker. Let me make sure I've got that right. Trasker. And that crater is 16 miles in diameter. So you see, that's not that big of a crater. And you can see we've got a fairly good close look. Now, notice right at the bend in Hyginus Rill, there is a crater. And interestingly enough, that crater is called Hyginus. Makes sense, Hyginus Rill, so that's Hyginus crater. That's a fairly small crater. Notice we can see it quite plainly, and that crater now, which is dead center, is 6 miles in diameter. And so you can see we're in there pretty good. And then there's a smaller crater. Actually, no, my map is not showing that little crater pit just to the right of Hyginus. So anyway, that's the feature I wanted to show you. Thought it was very, very interesting. I'm going to back down the zoom a little bit here as we go up the terminator, and we'll get a broader and nicer look at this terminator tonight. It's really, really an attractive terminator with all kinds of detail. All right, we've got 2 monster craters coming into view here now. Let's see how well my Atlas will do on these. The first one, which is a little all left and off center, it's a fairly flat floored crater, but then it's got a fairly big crater in it over at 9 o'clock with inside the crater. That is Hipparchus crater, 91 miles in diameter, and we can actually pick up that crater over at 9 o'clock within it is Horrocks, and Horrocks is 18 miles in diameter. That's really, really an interesting area. And then again, we keep on going. We're headed south. We're headed towards the highlands, so we're headed south. And this crater is in a little more shadow, and that is probably because those walls are much higher. That crater, and Atlas is doing pretty good here tonight. Hyginus crater, 82 miles. That's a large, large crater. And then that large crater in the wall at 1 o'clock on this crater is, let's see, that's Klein. That's 27 miles in diameter. Notice that crater's got a very, very large central peak in it. Nice feature. And we'll move along here. I won't give you any more names. We'll just kind of enjoy the view here. Looking at the time, we're 14 minutes in. As I said the other night, or almost every night I'm on here, I just can't believe how fast the time goes when you're doing these. The time just flies by. Now there's an interesting looking feature. This might be one for, oh, I see what it is too. But when you look at it really quick, look, let's put this in the center field. Look at that. It looks like an X. See it in the center of the field? It looks like an X. And the UFOers could go right away and say, hey, look, there's an X. That's artificial. But look carefully at the right side of that X, what it is. It's actually the walls of a crater. You can see the other part of the crater over to the right of that right side of the X, and farther over to the right, you can see, if you look carefully, let's see how much zoom I got left. Yeah, I've got some more zoom. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let me center it up. And you can see what it is. It's just another crater, and the sunlight is just catching part of that wall. And it makes it look like a straight line and an X. And now we zoom in. Now you can see what it is. It's just a couple of mountain ranges, and then that crater with uneven walls has got one side of it showing up, and it looks like an X. Interesting, though. It catches your eye. Really catches your eye. Kind of going back to that last video I did, I really hope I didn't step on anybody's toes talking about those who, believe in UFOs and life on the moon. I mean, I really didn't mean to do it. I just wanted to make it a point of view that there, there's 2 points of view out there, and sometimes you get called Looney Tunes for not agreeing with certain things. It kind of makes you want to defend your position, but that's how science is done. I never really gave you a description about what I did in astronomy all these years, but I was involved in quite a few research projects, and that's the way science is done. You get a project, and you come up with an idea, and you make your observations, and they get written up, and you say, here, this is what I found. And then the scientific community either lines up and back you and says, yeah, that's right, or they look at it and say, no, that's not right, and they make their observations, and they present their opposite views and present it to the scientific community, and they put it out there. And that's how advances in science are made. So it's not a bad thing that there's two views. It's actually a good thing. It makes for good, lively debate, and it makes for people looking for things that might go go by without being checked because nobody really cares. Well, if you're trying to prove a point, you might look at it more carefully. But I worked with the American Association of Variable Star Observers. It's a worldwide organization doing variable stars. I did several thousand observations with them over many years. I work with a group called the Center for Backyard Astrophysics out of Columbia University with Professor Joe Patterson. We worked on cataclysmic variable stars. I actually got involved with a doctoral student at UCLA and worked on his work on getting his doctorate, and then actually worked with him in his postdoc work when he was working on active galactic nuclei. I had a 16-inch telescope in my observatory then, and I was just getting into electronic imaging, and I had a lot of fun with that. That was doing photometry, just electronic imaging of galaxy cores and watching for eruptions of brightness in the core of galaxies. That was really fun. With that group, the Center for Backyard Astrophysics, I actually got to work on what turned out to be a stellar mass black hole. It was a very strange object. I actually made one of the first observations in the group when it was announced. I got out and got my data taken, processed, and sent in, and it was one of the first ones to get it published on the web. And the light curve on that object was really strange. It looked like somebody... So the light curve actually looks like the sound curve of somebody hitting a bell, and it just you just had this ringing effect. And for a while, nobody could quite understand what it was, and it turned out to be a stellar mass black hole. So I got involved with some pretty heavy stuff, and now I'm retired and don't have the backyard observatory. Look at this detail here as we move along. It's really, really neat. And so I find myself setting up my smaller instruments and getting out, and I find it's easy to work on the moon. I don't have to go hunting for deep sky objects. I'm not in a location where I can really do that. I'd have to travel for half an hour to a remote site and then take time to set up a lot of equipment, and then at the end of the night tear down a lot of equipment and drive back home. It's just not conducive to my age at this time. And I don't know if I've mentioned it, but I've had numerous back surgeries, two of them majors. So you know, it's just not fun carting around heavy equipment anymore. You notice tonight I don't see an awful lot of color here. Let's back out, and we'll get drop it down. We're 20 minutes in. I'm going to try to keep this around 25 minutes if I can tonight. And let's go over and get out to, or maybe we get a little more of the Mare area. And let's there we go. There we go. Let's see where we are with the color. The color intensity is in auto. I'm going to shut that off, and I'm going to turn it up. And okay, now we're getting that vignetting over to the right side. So let me zoom in a little bit and get rid of that vignetting. And yeah, we got a little bluish color, but that's about it. Not an awful lot of color tonight. Here we go. Here's that. This is nice. This is that area between Mare Serenitatis on the left, Mare Tranquillitatis on the right. And notice the line there, the blue line, darker blue on the right, and a lighter blue or brown to the left. That's really an interesting feature. Nearby there, and let me see if I can take a second to. I have to do this by find. I want to find out. Just give me a second to do this. Let's see. I want to find the crater Lynn. Okay, it's right there. Okay. I've got to move this around a little bit. That's over near. Okay, where is Archimedes would be over in here, right? No, it would not. Let me get down here. Let me get down to the south and start where I know where I am. Okay, all right. And that's Mare Serenitatis. The beginning of Mare Serenitatis is right there. Okay, there's the Alpine Valley. Okay, I'm just getting my bearings here. I want to go up, go through Mare Serenitatis, and then out over onto the floor in the center. And I believe there it is. Okay, it's almost. I'm going to put a dead center. Yeah, dead center. See, it's just a white patch. See it? It's a white patch. It doesn't look. Does not look like a crater. That's Lynn. That's the crater that was supposed to have disappeared in the mid 1800s. It was observed by mappers around the 1820s as a small crater, and then it started to be shown as just a white patch, as we're seeing it here. And if I zoom in, you're not going to see any more than that. It looks like just a white patch. And so that was one of those situations where change had come up on the moon. And I think I talked about this briefly one time before, and the controversy actually went on right up into modern day, right up to the Apollo era, when Apollo 15, with the lander on the surface and the orbiters in orbit taking pictures, took pictures of a perfectly shaped, beautiful, fresh crater about a mile in diameter, and that was Lynn, with a bright white ejecta around it. And what happens is the crater is so small and so brilliantly white that it basically, in most situations, it just shows up as a white patch. And to see the crater, the sun angle has to be very, very low and just catch the crater wall and throw a good shadow across the crater to actually see it as a crater. This crater right here, I just centered. Let me do something with the. I just put the auto color on, and boy, that went nuts. That's interesting. Let's play with these. Okay, everything is in auto. It's gone to a rosy red. Let me just see if I can do something. I'm not really happy with the way that looks. But that crater right there, I've always found. This is another crater I remember working on and sketching as a kid. That is Posidonius. Notice the crater walls. Very low, but a very, very large crater. And let me see if I can find that on this lunar atlas real quick. I want to make sure I hit the right one. Yeah, Posidonius, I've got it here. That's 58 miles across. So you can see we're zoomed in pretty good here, 58 miles. And if we back out again, with the settings we have now, we might get to see what the crater floors are showing us for color. Again, that strong reddish color to the right is vignetting, which from the if you don't get this camera squared dead on, you'll get well, you're going to get a certain amount of vignetting anyway until you get the camera zoomed in past the edges, but it'll give you that reddish look. But not an awful lot of color. Bluish. There's some nice color now, and there's those wispy markings on Mare Torquatatis that we talked about, where some people say that it looks like features underneath. And what I'm saying is that it's just a huge amount of materials thrown up when meteors and asteroids impact the moon, and it creates the regolith that falls down. And on these Mars are just like perfect chalkboards. They're great for this material falling out on them, and it makes all kinds of patterns on the floor of these Mars. And you're just seeing this material in different densities laying on top of those Mars, and that's what gives it that look. But then those that'll say that no, that's a clear crystalline structure, and that's some kind of a city underneath. Well, NASA doesn't buy it. I don't either. But again, to each his own. And we'll move along here. As I said in my last video, that's Theophilus and Katharina. Beautiful, beautiful. There's the Altai Scarp, that line that runs through there like a snake up in the upper right-hand corner. And I'm looking at that clock, and here we are, 27 minutes in again. Just can't believe it. I'm attending that conference, Northeast Astronomy Forum conference, and that good friend of mine, that imaging, I want to call him an imaging expert, and he really is. I won't divulge his field unless he actually wants to when he's here. But it is imaging, and it's very serious imaging. And I want him to, hopefully we'll get a clear night. He'll be here, I guess, about 3 nights. We will try to have a sit-down session together. I hope it's warm enough we can actually set a table up outside. It's still a little cold, and if we have to sit there, because I don't think 2 of us will be able to fit in the car together and do what I'm doing right here now. We might be able to do it, I don't know. But it'd be neat to get him in on this color issue on this camera and see what he thinks. It's just interesting. I have auto checked. And we're not getting an awful lot of color tonight. But again, we're just around quarter. We're not. I'll boost that color up a little bit. See, it gets. I'm sorry, that's the contrast I'm playing with. That's interesting. You can make it a little stronger looking that way. What happens when we do that to the Mare floor? Yeah, it kind of blows out the. It's kind of. Auto's kicking in and taking care of it. See, that's another thing. If you play with the contrast, you can change the color appearance somewhat too with that. So you can see there the blue looks a little stronger there. But let me see if I can do with the color. We drop it down. Yeah, there we get rid of it, and I bring it back up, and see it kind of gets a red color over top of it. So there's some question there as to what's real and what isn't. One thing I'm looking for when I do go to this convention is a V filter, a V block filter, which I'd like to use on my refracting telescope. It's a 4.7 inch refractor, so it's just slightly smaller than this 5 inch I'm using here. That'll give us a straight through light path without that obstruction from the central obstruction of this Max Sudoff Cassegrain. And the V block will cut off the violet end of the spectrum, which will get rid of any blue fringing you get. Again, here we are 30 minutes, so I just take one more second here to say something about an atmosphere and the moon in blue. That's another argument they throw out, that blue fringing on the edges is an atmosphere. No, that's generally just blue fringing from the refracting telescopes and optics of the telescope causing the blue fringing. And if you need anything to support that idea, just think of this. If there was any atmosphere at all on the moon, remember the Apollo landings? What was the most important thing with the landers? Weight, weight, weight. Everything had to be as light as possible. Some of those areas in that lander were no more thick than a couple of layers of aluminum foil. If there was even the slightest bit of atmosphere, those landers would have been torn to shreds trying to land if there was any kind of atmosphere in the moon. So I think that's a pretty strong point for no atmosphere in the moon. But again, take it as you will. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to cut this off here already. Again, I've gone over a half an hour. I just can't believe it. It's just that time flies. But boy, we had a beautiful moon here tonight. All kinds of nice detail. Look at that. Just nice detail. Let's kind of end up with up here on the Terminator. I got the contrast probably turned up a little bit too high. Let's just cut it down a little bit. Go this way, yeah. There we go. And we'll just run it down along the Terminator as we end up here. And there's the Alpine Valley. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut it off here. Hopefully, I won't have a video out now for probably almost a week or so, but after that convention, hopefully my friend comes back here, we get some good weather. It'll be close to within a couple days of full moon. Hopefully we can sit down and do one together. He's very knowledgeable. We should have a good session. We could look into this color situation. It should be a lot of fun. So until then, guys, good health, clear skies, and we'll see you then. Take care, guys.